Well, shocking story came out yesterday night, broken by Fabrizio Romano, about how Bruno Fernandez and his intermediaries and agents have gone ahead to hold talks with big teams in Europe. And guess what? That means Bruno Fernandez is contemplating on leaving the club of Manchester United, and a condition has been said that if at all it is not followed, then Bruno will be like, I'm going to leave the club of Manchester United. I'm going to give you my own stance about this. There is Paul Dybala has something to say about Manchester United, and then how Sir Jim Ratcliffe is obviously conducting himself at the club of Manchester United, and how he wants to obviously overwhelm the club of Manchester United. Welcome to the United Matters channel. How are you guys and where are you watching us from? I go by the names of Rick and David. Second video of the day, and I hope everything is really going on as planned. We thank God for the gift of life. Let's see close to 300 likes smashing this video, and continue to subscribe because we want to hit 18,000 subscribers before the end of this week, and it's the 1st of June, meaning that a lot is really gonna go our way. Now let's start it off with Fabrizio Romano. Right, Bruno Fernandez' agent met with several top clubs around Europe this week. Bruno is fully focused on Manchester United, and the final decision on his future is yet to be decided. Fabrizio added and said Bruno Fernandez will make a final decision on his future once he understands the project and what happens with the managerial situation. Now, this is what we've always gonna tell Ineos, that how they're holding up things is really very, very amateurish. You know, you can't tell me that you are here at the club of Manchester United and you've gone ahead to try to deprive Erik ten Hag of his job because of your selfish thoughts. And till now, we don't know what the future of the club is gonna be. And I think what has gonna hit obviously see to it that Bruno Fernandes has really lost his cool, and maybe he wants to leave the club of Manchester United, is how Ineos are ethical, you know, and they are changing as a chameleon. If Ineos was talking to the manager, the next person for them to talk to is the captain, and they had to obviously sell their plan to the captain of Manchester United. And I tell you, their plan was that we are not gonna let Erik ten Hag go. And in the towards the final game of the season, Bruno Fernandes hears that they are talking to other managers and they want to sack the manager. He will ask himself, what kind of owners are these? You know, what's the difference with the Glazers? Nothing. So I think that is gonna hit to turn him off a lot as a player, and he's like, we've just gonna hit to win a second trophy, 2 consecutive seasons. You've gonna hate to see it that we're gonna hate to have very many injuries, and you've sold lies to us that you're gonna keep the manager Erik ten Hag, and you are acting behind our backs to obviously sack him. Then football is not meant for you. And let's all admit, if you act like that, football aren't meant for you. That's what Bruno is really looking at, because at the age of 29, he's gonna be making 30 this year. He wants to win major trophies, as he said that he wants to win big trophies for the club of Manchester United and even compete for them. But how are you going to start competing for trophies when Ineos is going to have to come in through and they are issuing statements that are really not giving you a dream of really winning a trophy? For example, when you look at the targets that Manchester United is linked at, and Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea and so on, they don't give you promise as a captain that we are here to compete, you know, and we are not bridging the gap in between Manchester United and those clubs. Because if Tosin, linked to Manchester United, is going to Chelsea, Benjamin Šeško might go to Arsenal or Chelsea. You can't compete for Bruno Guimaraes, you can't compete for Douglas Luiz, yet you are going to lose Casemiro. And even if you don't lose him, it's a fact that you need a player of that caliber and magnitude into your team. Then, are you competing? Are you bridging the gap? Other players that would have gone here to sign are going to be going to Man City. So, that threatens Bruno Fernandes for you. And that's why I think he told his agents that we should really look out for another club, because maybe the team we are at is just in jokes. And I tell you, United is a joke. It's a joke. You can't reach this level when you don't know who is going to be the manager, your manager next season. You know, Erik ten Hag is there, and you've not gone ahead to make a decision, and that delays the transfers. And what has gone ahead, obviously, I think piece of Bruno is we are 13 days away from the Euros, and if you are to really convince players to come in, especially those that are going to be playing in the Euros, maybe you need to sign some before they go to the Euros or they go to Copa America. You understand? So he has a lot of things to obviously look at, and it looks like Ineos is failing to tick the boxes. And let me show you the statement he put up after the final of the FA Cup that went ahead to win, and this is what he had to say. I want to start Manchester United, but if for some reason they don't want me, then I'll go. It is in our hands to keep him, let him leave, letting him. So he said about Erik ten Hag, it's in our hands to keep him. Letting him leave would be a very big mistake. That's what Bruno is saying, and it is rotating so much on Bruno Fernandez, and I think Bruno Fernandez will be one of those players to leave if at all Erik ten Hag really leaves. That is it. Because he has already gone ahead to warn Ineos that letting Erik ten Hag go is a big mistake. Because when you look at how the teams like Arsenal and Liverpool have gone ahead, obviously coming through and thrive, it's because of patience. And this is the man that came up with words that patience is the way to go. And that is Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Now, if you can't be patient as we go into our third phase, where most teams have gone ahead, obviously find themselves competing for trophies, then what are you operating at? What is your mission? Because for Arsenal, in Mikel Arteta's third season, that when they obviously showed their muscle to lift the league. You get? And you cannot come out and really put out lies like those. You know? And Bruno's departure, I think, depends so much on Erik ten Hag. The situation at Manchester United on the stance of Erik ten Hag has shown most of the people that this club is not serious. You know? We've won an FA Cup. Instead of sticking with the manager and really phase out these other players, you want us to go to square one. Because Bruno knows it that when a new manager comes in through, there will be no pressure for him to win a trophy. Bruno Fernandez knows it very well that there will be no pressure on that manager to win a trophy, I think, in the next 2 years. And they will be like, let's rebuild. And Bruno has been here rebuilding. When Ole Gunnar was sacked, we went back to rebuilding. Ralf Rangnick, Erik ten Hag, another fourth manager, and he's not ready for this because age is not his best ally. So that's what has gone to piss off Bruno Fernandes, and I think he's right. And I think more senior players should come out and really tell these people that, please, don't waste our time. We are not ready to go into another phase of a rebuild. All what we want is get in the money of the players that he wants. This project is ready, and we can do the needful. I tell you, if Manchester United can move on players like Harry Maguire, maybe Victor Lindelof, Bissaka, Casemiro, Eriksson, Scott McTominay, which other player? Let me count Sancho, Donny van de Beek. Those are 8 players, and West Ham is in for Scott McTominay for £50 million. You get 50 for Sancho, that is 100. You get 30 for Harry Maguire, that is 130. 20 for Lindelof, 120. You get in 30 for Bissaka, that is 180. If you can sell these players and get in like 200 million euros or million pounds, why don't we spend that money on 2 players? All right, I would trigger that of Bruno Guimaraes, bring him to Manchester United to play as our CDM, right? Then, in the remaining 100, get 50 million pounds, get in a centre back, and get in a striker. You get? And then we are having 100 million pounds that we should spend. And for that, you can as well use it to sign in other players of 30 and 40 million pounds. But United, where we are, we need to make what we call a huge statement. And that statement should be all about us signing what we call big players to take us in the competitive zone. I tell you, you get in a Bruno Guimaraes into that midfield, it's a different case altogether. There is Ederson at Atalanta. I think the rapport we've got to build in between us and Atalanta can give us a very good go. And for me, that's what I think Bruno Fernandez is really furious, and that's going to order his agents to obviously hold talks with other big European clubs. And teams like Real Madrid will want a Bruno Fernandes because they are losing out on Luka Modric. I tell you, very many big teams will want to sign Bruno Fernandes. And him and his agents going in for that move, that shows you that they are not willing to really welcome the nonsense at the club of Manchester United. When you flip the coin, he might be in need of another deal, and he wants a team that's going to offer him like a deal of 3 years. And he will be like, at the age of 30, that's when I get that deal, and can Man United offer me that deal? So we wait and see how that pans out, but I'm 100% behind Bruno Fernandes and what he's really doing at the club of Manchester United. I just love it. I love players of that caliber. Paul Dybala, he said in the summer of 2019, I remember there was an approach for Manchester United as well as Tottenham Hotspur, but it was more Manchester United because Juventus wanted to make that move. So in 2019, who was the manager of Manchester United? I think it was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because the guy was sacked. And who was sacked? That was Jose Mourinho. And now, United were pushing in for Paul Dybala. And I think by then, Dybala was one of the most promising players, but the price tag was really huge. And Juventus were really willing to sell him on an expensive price, something that never happened. And Dybala went ahead to really leave or depart on a free. That's what happened. So Dybala is now at AS Roma, and maybe he might find himself leave Roma very, very soon at that club. Now, this story was read like a week back, and I never really did it. Manchester United staff have been offered early payments of an annual bonus if they resign by next Wednesday. That is last week, as part of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's edict to get all employees into the club's offices and his push to trim the workforce. So he wants to trim the workforce, and he believes that we are really spending a lot of money. And I think one of the reasons as to why the Glazers were really excited to get in Ineos was that they wanted to find themselves in a position of really getting in someone who can really do the cost cutting of the budget and maybe make more financial sense and see the team make more dividends. Because however much they're doing right that way, but we should find ourselves in a position of really getting some solutions right, like Eric Ten Hag, and that's why they're moving on players on huge wages. Casemiro is next. Even Sancho is going to be sold because of huge wages that he earned, I tell you. So I'm not really excited about what is happening at Manchester United for now until we get to know the manager, because if you don't know the manager of the club, then you're not going to make sense into the summer transfer window. That's why even players on a free transfer are not willing to come to our club. So guys, I call upon for your reactions onto Bruno Fernandez holding Manchester United departure or departing talks with big clubs in Europe. What do you make about it? It's Fabrizio Romano reporting that story, meaning that it's really concrete and accurate. Then Paul Dybala in United 2019, and lastly talk of Sir Jim Ratcliffe new plan to obviously get United in more savings of money by wanting employees come to the club of Manchester United to work in Manchester United offices. May the living to God bless you abundantly. Rock and David is my name. I sign out for now. See you later, and I cover you all in the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Bye-bye.